sweet little fur baby in your life. Danielle Hodges is here from Follow the Leader Training.
Hi, guys.
To give us the checklist, you know, I kind of wish you were here last week before we got our dog.
Yes.
Maybe we should have had this discussion.
Okay.
We've got Ozzy now. Here's a picture with our daughter with the dog. And you know what?
God.
Absolutely the apple of her eye now. Both my kids are in love with this pet.
Great.
So are we. But there's so many things you have to think about before you get to that point. And one of them is, how long are you working each day? Because this dogs are social animals. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that I talk to, they're working 10, 12 hours. In Hamilton, where I live, everybody's working shift work.
Yeah.
And so they're out of the house for 14 hours a day sometimes. And so you've got to really consider, it's not really fair to your dog. Your dog is social. That's what they're wired to, just be around you, and they need you, and they crave your attention and affection. So if you can't be home, you need to make sure that somebody's going to be home to be there with them, take them out, all those things that they need. I mean, even if they don't pee and poo in your house, that's not really all there is to it, right?
You need to hire a dog walker, or what else is out there for folks that are away for a long time, other than dog walkers?
Family and friends, dog walkers, dog daycare is an option, but you've got to be really mindful of your dog's temperament. It's not a solution for everybody. So there's lots of different options out there, but you've got to really do your research and make sure you know your dog.
Okay, very important. Money. Money is something you have to think about. You have to think about that when you're having a baby. You have to think about that when you're getting a pet.
Dogs are not cheap. I don't know if you've noticed so far, but they involve vet bills, right? In the beginning, especially if you've got a puppy, spay, neuter, all those things, vaccines, it adds up really, really quickly. And especially what people don't consider sometimes is that if your dog gets in an accident, and you don't have insurance, and sometimes even if you do, depending on your coverage, those really huge vet bills can just slam you. And if you aren't prepared for that, I mean, it can be really problematic. That, and you've got to consider, if you do work long hours, you have to be able to afford the dog walker.
That's right.
And the groomer. And all the supplies, the dog bed, like, I don't know, what have you got? All that stuff.
Yeah, the dog bed, the crate, the toys, the food, the odor remover for the carpet, the spray so that they don't bite all of your shoes, you know, like all of that stuff ends up adding up. Okay, so you've thought about money, you've thought of the fact that I will be there for this dog. You have to think about how you spend your leisure time. So what do you mean by that?
Well, you know, you're not going to be able to stop off at the pub on the way home from work anymore.
No, no drinks.
And if you, I know, it's such a shame.
Have your drink at home with the dog.
Exactly. And if you're going to go away for the weekend, what are you going to do with your dog? Are you going to bring your dog? Does your dog want to go with you wherever you're going? I had clients recently who they're young and lovely and amazing dog owners, but they're constantly out at the cottage with their friends, and the dog was quite fearful.
Too many people, too many loud voices.
Groups of people. So even though this dog had a lot of potential for success in that specific home, it wasn't an ideal fit, right? So you've got to really consider, what's my social life like? Am I willing to devote all this time to the dog that I would have been devoting to my partying?
And then you don't want to be in a situation where you can't manage the dog and you have to give the dog up, because that's what so many dogs are in shelters right now. Because that's the situation. People weren't realistic about it.
Exactly.
Do you have children or plan to have children? Now, you're saying some people have the puppy first as a way of practicing to be a parent. Is this always the best?
How good is the practice, truly? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, so many of my clients, I'm actually a licensed parent educator for dog and baby safety.
Yes.
So that's sort of a little niche that I'm comfortable in and spend a lot of time in. And what I find is a lot of my clients go, we were young and we thought this was going to be great practice, right? Oh, it's exactly like having a baby. But the problem is, when your dog, by the time you finally have that baby and you bring that baby into your life, the dog is sometimes 7, 8, 9 years old. And that transition is really extraordinarily tough.
For the dog or the baby?
Everybody.
For everybody.
Let's be honest. But definitely for the dog.
Yeah.
So change is hard for them, right? All of a sudden, this dog that's used to sleeping in your bed and having all this freedom and just being this apple of your eye is now, oh my gosh, okay, we have to reconsider how we're living our lives.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, if you can, wait until your kids are a bit older, until they can really, where are you going here, buddy? You got places to be? until they can really understand how to safely interact with the dog.
Got it. Okay. Right? All right. You have to think about if you've got other animals that you want to incorporate into your world with your new pet. Because they're not. How do you do that? How do you bring, if you have a cat or if you have a dog, how do you bring a new pet into the equation?
Yes, you need to make sure management is everything. So baby gates are really important, slow introductions in neutral spots.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you get your dog, if you're getting a rescue, from a reputable rescue where they've screened for that kind of thing. Because sometimes you get issues where the dog is quite predatory around smaller animals.
Right.
Not all the time, but sometimes. And if that's the case, you need to make sure that you know and that you're taking every precaution, because not every rescue will screen for that kind of thing.
Okay, really good to know. I have about a gazillion more questions for you, so I'll ask you that during the commercial break, but I think that you've given us a really good things to think about before you make that big step, right? Thanks, Danielle. Let's go to break. We got more coming up. Family Day.